Let's define what innovation really is. There are five elements that go into constructing a definition of innovation. Let's understand them. Here they are. The first one is novelty. Novelty is something that is unique as well as effective in solving a problem at hand. Now, let's take an example. Google came up with a product called Okut, and there was nothing novel about it at that time. Facebook was already in operation. But Google Maps, on the other end, was a novel invention. And when Apple came up with Maps, it was a novel, so it bombed. So the first element, and a very essential element to tell whether something's innovative or not, is this thing called novelty. The second factor is called non-obviousness, similar to novelty, but it has slight bit of difference, and here it is. Some amount of complication exists that makes it non-obvious for everyone else to be doing it. Now, for example, Uber was a non-obvious idea. The idea that a company would be existing, a transportation company would be existing without owning any asset was non-obvious to everyone, right? And then there is a counterexample of, let's say, a BlackBerry Storm when the device was came out in response to Apple, which was a touchscreen and a mixture of this and that. It wasn't non-obvious at that time. Everyone was expecting that BlackBerry would react in that manner. The third element is the element of surprise. That there is an element of surprise for the user as well as for your competition. Now, an example of an element of surprise was iPod, right? At the time that it came out, 1,000 songs in your pocket was an element of surprise, not only for the users, it had an element of surprise for the music industry, it had an element of surprise for other MP3 devices, everything. And the counter to that element of surprise, which in a product that didn't exist but was an innovation nonetheless, was Tata Nano. They came up with the cheapest car. However, in the product itself, there was no other element of surprise other than a lower price tag, and people didn't really take to it. No one adopted it. The fourth element of innovation is something called disequilibrium. And I have done a great deal of research in this. It is defined as solving a disequilibrium in your market or industry as it exists. Now, disequilibrium means that there is an unsolved problem which is causing pain to the consumers, or it is probably even unknown to your consumers, but there is a pain point that exists. And if you can solve a disequilibrium in the market, then you can pretty much capture it. Example of it can be studied with Netflix and Blockbuster. Netflix solved the problem by solving the price disequilibrium by shipping DVDs directly to the customers in the early days, whereas Blockbuster was hell bent on people coming to their stores for the experience. We know who won the war at the end of the day. And the last element of innovation is something called disproportionate results. Unless the innovation results in disproportionate results, there was no point doing it because business as usual would have been a better option. So Segway was introduced, a great product. I love them, by the way. Had all the four factors checked, which was novelty, non-obviousness, surprise, and even solving a disequilibrium. Where it failed was to create disproportionate results. It was wrong pricing, wrong timing, wrong market, whatever the analysis may be. But it was a failed innovation only for the reason that it could not produce disproportionate results for the manufacturer. So, how do we define innovation using this definition? Here it is: novel and non obvious solution that has an element of surprise, solves a prevalent disequilibrium, resulting in disproportionate results for the innovator or the business.